Robert told me, he said, "Now I got this bad guy coming from the sample plant named General Baker, and I've had to do the distinction of talking on the telephone to General Baker every day for the last 33 years.
Wow.
And sometimes we talk 2 or 3 times on the phone because he had so much information that I needed. Now, one thing about talking to Baker, I found out just a couple of things. Number one, he was an amazing man.
Yes.
He was amazing. During the Bay of Pigs crisis, when we had trouble with Cuba, and Cuba had trouble with us, it was General Baker who was over in Cuba eating watermelon ice cream. And he said, "Big city, if they ever lift the tariff plane, you got to go to Cuba and get some watermelon ice cream." Baker, in 1967, if you called the riot a riot in 67, he would get mad at you. Because his words were, it wasn't a riot. It was a rebellion.
That's right.
People were tired of the status quo. They were tired of the same old, same old. So they decided to do something about it.
Right.
And when we in Detroit get tired of being sick and tired, we're going to do something about Detroit, too.
That's right.
Baker called it a rebellion. And they busted this door down looking for him, but Baker was in Cleveland, Ohio when the rebellion started. But when he got back to Detroit, he was riding with his friends in the car. He was in the back seat riding shotgun. The police stopped the car.
That's right.
And told them to let the windows down. And the officer looked at General Baker and said, "Is your name General Baker?" And Baker said, "Yeah, my name's General Baker." And the cop told him, "If you take one more breath, I'm going to blow your brains out." They took Baker down to the Hudson's, the old J.L. Hudson's downtown.
That's right.
And he told me he didn't even know they had a sub-basement. And they locked him up in jail in that sub-basement and let the dogs out. So if he tried to escape, the dogs would attack him.
That's right.
He stayed there a couple of days and then he went to Belle Isle. They locked him up on Belle Isle until after the riot.
Right. That's right.
This man who was supposed to be an insurrectionist, a troublemaker, a rebel rouser, he was amazingly brilliant also. Amazingly brilliant. Baker would call me and tell me about all his speaking engagements. He called me and said, "Big city." I said, "What's up, Baker?" He said, "Man, I'm fixing to go speak at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology." I said, "What?" I said, "Man, that's never PhDs. Rocket scientists." Baker didn't have no doctorate degree. He didn't have no master's degree. He didn't have no bachelor's degree, but he was brilliant.
Yes, sir.
He could touch everybody on their level. General Baker, and last but not least, and I'm through, because I know we preachers, we can talk. General Baker was an astute historian.
That's right.
He was brilliant in history. And if you didn't have your history right, he'd cuss you out. Now somebody asked me how I know. He cussed me out. I thought I had my history right. But he cussed me out. But that same guy that cussed me out, he took me by my hand.
Yes, he did.
And walked me down the road of history that I was trying to explain to him. And correct all my little errors. And not only that, but he'll connect you into another era of history that led you to the history that you was talking about. And he would light up all your mind. He would just light you up. Now, this General Baker also had an astute historical knowledge of the unions.
Yes.
He'll take you all the way back to the coal mine workers. And he had an astute ability, he had the astute knowledge of the UAW. Some of y'all remember 3 years ago, he stood at this podium.
Yes.
And received the Martin Luther King Award.
Yes, he did.
And he told everybody where pensions came from.
That's right.
The African American workers in the old iron foundry.
That's right.
That was parallel to Miller Road.
Oh, that's
They was dying quicker than their Caucasian counterparts in the other buildings.
Well.
And when they went to check themselves out, come to find out their lungs was full of soot from the old iron foundry.
Well, right.
And they demanded pay, which we now call pensions. Baker had that knowledge. Nobody else had that knowledge. Nobody else had that history. Only Baker.
That's right.
Now y'all forgive me, because we got a gentleman who's walking around having union awareness classes. UAW history.
That's right.
But I'm here to tell you, he didn't go to 29 McLean Street with his iPad, with his paper and pen, with his tape recorder. He didn't have classes with General Baker to find the true history of the UAW. He wasn't doing nothing but selling snake oil. That's all he was doing. Selling snake oil. On last Saturday, rushing through on last Saturday, I went to see General Baker at Ford Hospital about 2 o'clock. And we talked about politics, international and national, state and local. And while we was talking, he looked up at me and said, "Big City, I'm so glad you came to see me." Me and Baker never said that to me. I've been to see him in the hospital many times. And he said, "I'm so glad you came to see me." And we kept on talking. And a second time, he looked up at me and said, "Big City, I'm so glad to see you." 3 gentlemen came in, I left because I didn't want to crowd him out. And before I left, he said, "Big City, I'm so glad to see you." And he reached up and shook my hand. And we never shook hands. We've always did this, always did that, but we never shook hands. We shook hands. And then 12:20, early Sunday morning or late Saturday night, Carol and his daughter called me and said, "Big Carl, they're asking the family to come to the hospital. They don't expect them to live." And I said, "Hey, I got to run out of town, but as soon as I get back Sunday afternoon, I'm going to call you on. Y'all can tell me what's going on." And I called, and Marion said he had passed away. And I thought about this verse that says, "Has anybody here seen my old friend Baker?" Can you tell me where he's gone? He's helped so many people, never done nobody wrong. I looked around Sunday afternoon, and my friend Baker was gone. To Marion, my dear friend, and his precious wife, to his entire family, I'm going to end my little speech here the way I used to end telephone conversations with Baker. It's been more than a privilege. It's been more than a pleasure. It's been more than an honor to talk to your husband and your father and your grandfather for these last 33 years, every day on the telephone. May God bless you. May God keep you as I pray.
I guess what you would be in good company, Big City, of people who've been corrected by General Baker, amen?